What's up guys, Gavin here, and in this video we're going to review this book, Bing, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. This by far is one of my favorite books and one of the most transformational books that I've ever read, and it was actually only released in 2011 even though it was written in 1938, except Napoleon Hill had some very controversial thoughts about schools and religion and certain things, so he was too scared to actually release this, so he never did, and then it finally got released in 2011, and not a lot of people know it, and compared to Think and Grow Rich or The Laws of Success and his other books. But I actually think if you can really understand the concepts in this book, it can probably change your life more than Think and Grow Rich, because it's going to really help you let go of a lot of the BS that's holding you back. So let's go, let's get started. Alright guys, so Outwitting the Devil. I'm so excited to share these tips with you. If you like this content, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It will really help the channel grow. Now, at the beginning of this book, the biggest thing to first understand and first see is there's a big difference between faith and fear. And unfortunately, in the school system, we're not really taught anything about faith or anything about fear. We're just taught to memorize facts and figures and to just regurgitate those facts and figures. We're really not taught any emotional intelligence. So by the time we get out of school, we're like lost puppies and don't really know what to do. We don't know how to deal with the real world, because the real world doesn't care about just memorizing facts and figures. That can be a small piece of it, but it doesn't care. It's not going to really help you become somebody who can achieve the things that they want. Now, I want you to just think about this metaphor for a second, because first of all, realize that the devil is not this red being, right? The devil is in here, right? Heaven is in here. If you can think that you are really positive, you can become someone really positive, you can live in heaven on earth, or you can live in hell on earth, which would be living in a constant state of fear and anxiety and depression. Now, one of the ways that Napoleon Hill talks about the devil and the devil controlling your mind is using one of his most powerful tools in the world. So I just want you to imagine a metaphor. You know, you're going in and you want to talk to the devil, and the devil's going to show you this one tool that he uses to control more human minds and destroy more lives than anything. And he takes you over and opens up this little thing, and he's like, this is the one tool, and this is called the Wedge of Self-Doubt. If I can put this wedge into someone's mind and I can block them from having any faith and hope in their future and hope in themselves and belief in themselves, I can get them to live in hell their entire life. Now that's just a metaphor, but if you really look around at most people, they're living in fear, they're scared, they're nervous, they're not powerfully being themselves and expressing their true nature. They're in a constant state of anxiety, fear, and depression, which stops them from ever achieving the things you want, because you're in the wrong vibrational frequency to attract those things, which then pushes you even more away from it, which gets you into even more scarcity and more lack, and that cycle, that downward cycle and downward spiral continues. So, to outwit the devil, we have to realize that most of the things we fear are ghost stories. Most of the things that are constantly holding us back are not true. We are more powerful, like way more powerful than what the school system has ever made us believe we are. Because even in the first place, I remember doing this course on memory, and it blew my mind, because in school, we were taught how to memorize and regurgitate, but we actually were never even taught how to memorize. We were just told to memorize, and some people were pretty good at it, some people weren't. I did this memory course, and within 1 hour, I memorized a 100-digit code forward and backwards. And I was like, wait, how is that possible? How is it possible to memorize a 100-digit code forward and backwards? I can't even memorize 10 digits forwards. How can I do that? Well, I did it because I learned how to use my memory. And just like you can learn how to use your memory, because if you ever say to yourself, like, I can't remember names, it has nothing to do with you not being able to remember names. It's just the fact that you don't know how to. You don't have a system to. You haven't been taught how your memory actually works. Ask yourself right now, do you know truly how your memory works? how that process works in your brain. And if you don't know the most powerful way to do that, then never say to yourself, I'm not good at remembering names. Just say, I don't currently have the skill set to learn to use my memory in the way that's going to allow me to do that. But I can get it, no problem. I can go out and I can learn, I can Google how to use my memory better. Look up guys like Jim Quick and you can do it. So there's actually ways to do anything in this world, but a lot of the times we have this scarcity and this fear based off of our past self, based off of what our past experiences have been, based off of the bad education that we've gotten from the education system. So we are stuck in this position, not being powerful, not knowing our true potential. Which brings us to the next point of the book, which is focusing on becoming a positive thinker and having a clear purpose and a clear vision. Now, when I was going through what he calls being a drifter, and I was just kind of drifting aimlessly through life, I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of frustration, a lot of depression, and a lot of things because I didn't know what to do. I was in a constant state of like, how do I just focus on, how do I just move into escapism, get drunk, smoke weed, do a bunch of things that are just gonna stop me from feeling this feeling of I'm a loser, I'm a drifter. So as soon as I started finding out what that goal was, which was for me creating that perfect day from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, how do I want my life to look like? And now 7 years later, instead of sitting in my basement smoking weed, drinking, playing video games, I'm now living in this incredible place in Bali, and I have my perfect life from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, the friends that I want to be around, I have the control in my life that I want, I have the I've been achieving the things that I want. I can literally do what I want, when I want, with who I want, however much I want, whenever I want. It came from having a clear vision. But the vision alone wouldn't have got me there. What really got me there was changing my mind, changing my mindset, turning my mind into a positivity machine, seeing the good in everything, learning from each situation, learning how to be grateful and living in a state of gratitude. Because guys, gratitude is a meta emotion. You don't naturally feel gratitude. Gratitude comes from when you think about thinking. So gratitude comes when you say, wow, I'm so appreciative of X, even if it didn't seem like it was a good situation. Fear is an automatic response. If the saber-toothed tiger jumps out of the bushes, you automatically feel fear. But you don't automatically feel grateful when you look at a tree. You have to say to yourself, man, I can't believe all the processes and all of the magic, all the amazing things that go into the photosynthesis of creating that tree, right? And you just think about all that and you're like, man, I'm so glad for that because now it allows me to breathe the air that I'm breathing. And you go down this path and then you get this overwhelming sense of gratitude and connection to the world, which then allow you to move through the world like this, excited with your eyes open. And then that attracts more people because people are like, I want to be around that person. And then it just keeps cycling upwards. It's a really, really incredible process. But we have to start to gain emotional intelligence, gain mind intelligence, feel into this, and then we start to attract the things we want. But we can't be in this constant state of negative thinking, like the world's against me, things are going wrong, always having a problem for every solution. We have to have a solution for every problem. We have to see the silver lining in every situation. Let's say you're driving down the street, you get a flat tire, you're like, oh, everything's against me, this is horrible. What I would do is I would look at that flat tire and I would say, maybe I was about to get hit by a car up the street, and that's why I got this flat tire. Wow, I'm so grateful right now because it just is. It's already happening. What's the point in being negative about it? It's happening, and then maybe I'm going to meet some amazing person because this happened. Who knows? We never know. But when you're in that constant state of you either win or you learn, and you're in this constant state of I know I'm going to win, you will win. It's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you're going to get what you want. So next is, yes, we have to be positive, but we also just have to develop positive habits and surround ourselves with people who already possess those positive habits. So what do I mean by develop positive habits? Well, a positive habit is going to be something like eating a healthy food when you wake up versus an unhealthy food. A positive habit is going to be watching something that is really good for you and good for your mind versus watching something completely mindless that's kind of destroying your mind. There are tons of different things that can be your habits, but what you just need to know first is, what is the goal that you have? What is the life that you want? And then you reverse engineer that and say, well, what habits and behaviors need to be put in place so I automatically achieve that life? It's pretty obvious, actually, if you look at it, but sometimes common sense isn't that common, and the things that are obvious are not necessarily obvious to us because we've been brainwashed, if you want to use that word, which I use all the time because I really believe the education system is a form of brainwashing. It isn't a form of teaching people critical thinking. It's a form of teaching people to do it exactly a black and white way when there's actually so many different ways to do it. So you have to develop these positive habits, but the easiest way to develop these positive habits is to actually surround yourself with people who already possess those positive habits, and then you start acting and behaving like those people automatically over time. The average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, to me, is the number one. If you can learn what you want and then surround yourself with people who already have that, it's like the ultimate hack in life. You don't necessarily need to do anything besides that, because you're going to start to read the books, you're going to start to eat the foods they eat, you're going to start to talk the way they talk, you're going to start to do the things they do. It's going to happen automatically because you're not going to be able to help it. Just like if you were dropped off in China as a child, you would have learned Chinese automatically. You wouldn't know how. You don't know how you learned to speak the language that you spoke, whatever that your native tongue is. You just did it because you were surrounded by people who were all doing it. Now imagine if you're surrounded by people who have this mindset of there's always a problem for every solution and they're always complaining about everything. Well, you're probably going to develop into the type of person who's always complaining about everything. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are super positive and always have a solution for every problem, they're always finding a solution, and they're super motivated about the future, and they're visionaries, and they're seeing this and seeing that and doing X and always excited about life, you're going to pick up those habits and behaviors automatically. Yes, you guys will all have a little bit different in personality types, but you see it everywhere. Look at certain people who hang out with each other. They all just seem to become the same. You go to different countries, everyone just seems to become the same. They become part of the culture. It all starts to happen automatically. So for you, the biggest hack you can do, surround yourself with people who have these amazing habits and behaviors, who have what you want, and then start to implement all of the things that they're implementing consciously, and also you'll just pick them all up unconsciously and get it automatically. And then lastly, guys, is successful people really know how to learn from failure and understand that every failure has within it a learning lesson, a lesson that can take them to another level, that can turn them into more of a person. So they actually don't even look at failure as failure, they look at it as feedback. They get feedback from the environment and they see where their mistake was and they say, wow, okay, I learned from that, awesome, I'm not going to make that mistake next time. So they actually don't want to fail, that's not what they want, but when it does happen, they realize that that's just who they were at the time, and I can immediately take that lesson and gain feedback from it and immediately get a better result. And they speed up that feedback loop. So a lot of people who experience failure, they get down and depressed, and it can take weeks, months, years, lifetimes for them to get over a failure. Someone loses a relationship, it can take them a lifetime to get over that relationship. This slow feedback loop, really slow feedback loop from learning from any failure is going to crush you if you're in that mindset. But if you're the type of person that makes a mistake or fails and immediately you learn from that and get it the next time really quickly because you've learned from the lesson, you're going to start to achieve things really, really quickly. Like Thomas Edison, when he was creating this light bulb, he never said, I have failed over and over. I failed 1,000 times, or however many times he failed. Nobody ever really knows the real number because everyone's always skewing it. But let's say it's 1,000 times he failed. In his mind, he never failed once. He found 999 ways not to do it. Right? So he found every way not to do it and eventually had to come to the way to do it, right? So he never failed in his mind. That's why he kept going. Whereas most people, they fail once and they quit. That's because they look at it as, I am a failure. I am done. It's over. When I fail or make mistakes or gain feedback, I just say, okay, I'm closer to my goal. I'm closer now, I'm closer now, I'm closer now. How can I get there quicker? How can I get back up? How can I stand back up? That's why I do things like boxing, because I like that feeling of, getting knocked down or, making a mistake or whatever, and then coming back stronger. getting up off the ground, coming back stronger. It's a metaphor for life. In every area, there is no such thing as failure. There's only not achieving the thing that you wanted right at that moment. But you can get it the next time. And the more experience and the more wisdom that you gain, the more the next time you want to start a new business. Let's say it's a business idea. This is an easy example. It takes you a long time to get this first business successful, right? But then throughout all of those things that you learn throughout that process, when you start that next business, you've already made all of those mistakes, so you don't have to make those anymore, and you're already just starting at a higher level up, right? You're starting at the next level up, and then you start that business. Okay, you make some more mistakes, but this business happens like 5 times faster than the last one. And then you start another business and it happens 5 times faster than the last one. And now you become a Richard Branson and you can create business after business after business after business after business because you've made all of the mistakes. So really at the end of the day, if he thought about failure, he would have quit right at the beginning. But instead now he's a multi-billionaire with, a serial entrepreneur with so many businesses and an incredible lifestyle, an incredible impact, influence, because he just kept moving forward and he kept learning and he kept doing the things regardless of failure. So the big thing to understand here, guys, is outwitting the devil is not about outwitting some guy in a red suit with horns or some entity. It's about outwitting your own mind. It's about outwitting the fear, the worry, the doubt, the insecurities, all the things that are actually holding you back. And then it's about seeing the vision that you have, what you want your life to be, and going through and going after it with fearlessness. Going after it because you know that you have unlimited amounts of potential. That you know that you can surround yourself with people who already have it. You know that people who have been in a worse situation than you have somehow dug themselves out of it and achieved the thing. You see that it's possible. You know that it's possible. You have that hope and faith that you are going to achieve it. So no matter what happens, you stand back up and you get after it. No matter what happens, you know that you need to help your family, your friends, and those around you because you have this mindset. You are the person who sparks the torch in the dark. Everybody else is scared of the dark. You spark the torch and they follow you out. You're the light at the end of the tunnel. It's hard to navigate through this world with these minds we have. I fully understand this. We never were given an owner's manual of how this thing works. So it's really difficult, but it's learnable. And that's the biggest thing to understand. These videos are a great example of that. It's learnable. I was depressed. I had anxiety. I had a very hard time navigating through this world when I had just been going through the education system and didn't know why I felt the way that I felt. But I learned over the years that you can actually switch that all around. And it doesn't happen overnight, but you can have the control that you want in your life. You can feel empowered. You can feel amazing all the time. You can attract these people. You can be somebody that people look up to and admire. You can achieve amazing things, the dreams that you want. You can have that, and you have to know that, and you have to slay these doubts, these insecurities, the bullshit that the devil is holding, that wedge of self-doubt that he's got there. You got to slay it. It's not who you are. You are an infinite being. You are way more powerful than you can ever imagine. You have to know this, believe it, be it, and you are going to get everything that you want in this life. Guys, that's the book summary. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.